Be strong and courageous. This is a popular verse, often used on coffee mugs, wall art, and bookmarks. Yet, like many verses in the Bible, it's easy to read and look past its meaning. I want to share this video of when I was out on one of my shoots on the Gold Coast, Australia. I had just taken my relatively new drone up into the sky and was hovering a few meters above the ground. I looked down at my controller for a second to change some settings, when all of a sudden, I noticed my camera shift. I thought it was strange, so I looked up, and there it was. Fierce, fast, aggressive. Attacking my drone was an Australian magpie. Beautiful and iconic, but very territorial. I instantly panicked. I had never been in this situation before. Quickly, I descended and tried to get away from it. But no matter what I did, it chased my drone. My heart was thumping, I was sweating, and boy, was I afraid. The words "be strong and courageous" are often cited from Joshua 1:9, where God, speaking to Joshua, states, "Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be terrified. Do not be discouraged. The Lord your God will be with you wherever you go." He says this in the context of Moses' death, with Joshua becoming the new leader of the Israelites. He had the daunting task of not only leading a large group of people, but of also conquering the promised land, the home of many other nations. You can imagine how Joshua felt. How could he measure up to Moses, a man who led the Israelites out of Egypt, through a sea, had water come out of a rock, and spent time with God on top of Mount Sinai, where he received the Torah, the guidance of life? Yet this command of being strong and courageous is a common theme in the book of Joshua, and in fact throughout all of scriptures. It is cited almost identically a few times in the book of Joshua, 4 times in this chapter alone. For example, in Joshua 1 verses 6 to 7, God says, "Be strong and courageous, because you will lead these people to inherit the land I swore to their forefathers to give them. Be strong and very courageous. Be careful to obey all the law my servant Moses gave you." And it continues. You can read the rest for yourself. According to the Sanhedrin and Ralbag, some of these verses refer to Joshua's requirement to stay committed to Torah. As a leader, Joshua had ultimate power, but he was to be careful to stick to God's way and be a strong shepherd for his people. When I think of strength and courage, I think of King David, who, as a young shepherd, while everyone was afraid, took down Goliath through his faith in God. But does this mean that being afraid is a bad thing? I mean, Joshua 1:9 does say not to be afraid. Should we all have nerves of steel? I think there's more to it. In the context, these verses do not mean we can't ever be scared or fearful. We all have our fears. I'm afraid of many things: heights, needles, snakes, and birds attacking my drone. There's nothing wrong with having these feelings. Fear is a feeling God has given us. We all have these feelings, and in fact, they can serve to be a good thing, allowing us to be more careful. Gideon, one of the judges in the book of Judges, was commanded to save Israel from the Midianites by an angel of the Lord who literally appeared to him and said, "The Lord is with you, mighty warrior." Seriously, this was the very first thing the angel said to him in Judges 6:12. You would think that he would instantly have courage. But no, he was fearful. Yet God assured him that he would be with him in chapter 6 verse 14 and 16. Still he was worried and asked for a sign, and God gave him a sign. And still he asked for another sign, and again God performed another. Finally, after all of this, he went and defeated the Midianites. It is how we deal with our fears that matter. Will we let our fears define us? Will we abandon God and His will and commands in terror? Or will we hold fast to His promises and keep to His ways no matter what? That is the question, and that is what these verses are about. Joshua, when he was younger, was sent with a group of spies to stake out the promised land. Yet, unlike the other spies who came back and tried to persuade the Israelites that they could not take the land because of the strength of those living in it, he and Caleb did not doubt. They knew that they would take the land because that is what God had promised. We don't know whether they were afraid, but we do know that they saw the same things as the other spies, yet they did not lose hope. Rather, they served God wholeheartedly and trusted in Him. So just like Joshua, we should go in strength and courage, knowing that we have the backing of an amazing God, a God who created this world, destroyed a great nation such as Egypt, parted a sea, stopped the sun, but most importantly, a God that loves and cares for us. Thus, instead of giving up on flying my drone out of fear, I took to flight again that day. Yes, I was still afraid, but I learned that to escape from aggressive birds, I should ascend until the birds can't reach the drone. And so should we. We shouldn't let our fears define us. We should, with God's help, rise up as high as we can, where trouble can't reach us. We should rest assured that God will be there for us, and holding to this promise, we should be strong and courageous.